Greetings, everyone. This is for my U.S. History 1 students. Today we'll be looking at the development of a nation, the birth of a nation, the formative years. So for the overarching essay question, and this is a biggie, this essay question is going to encompass the entire unit. So for all of Unit 3, this is the one and only essay question you're going to have. But it's a biggie. We're going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals who had, for better or worse, a significant shaping of the political structure and, in turn, the culture of what it meant to be American. So the essay question, as stated here, is discuss the development of nationalism and the key roles played by George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, and Andrew Jackson. This being John Marshall, and this being Alexander Hamilton, and the rest are marked: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Andrew Jackson. So this segment we'll look at some background information, and we'll get into George Washington. So concept 1 is discuss the differences, the general differences between federalism and anti-federalism. So in 1789, as the Constitution is ratified, we have our first election. George Washington is president. The United States was a nation in name only, and people still thought of themselves as citizens of their state first, and then perhaps the nation. As a result of the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, the majority of people realized the need for a new and stronger government. But everyone was not in agreement as how much power the new government should have. So that's the overarching disagreement between Federalists and Anti-Federalists. How much power should the central government have? Obviously, the Federalists are going to agree that the federal government needs to have more power, right, over the state governments. The Anti-Federalists are going to say, yes, we need the federal government to have some sort of power, but the states need to maintain a degree of autonomy and independence in the spirit of what the Articles of Confederation provided for, but obviously not as much as the Articles of Confederation provided for. It's important to keep in mind that the country was large and sparsely settled at this time. That communication was primitive, obviously. This is before text messaging. And that the central government did not influence the lives of most people to any great degree. Many persons, including one who had been in the forefront of the struggle for independence, believed that a centralized republican system would not work in a country so large, with so many varied interests as the United States. These opponents of the Constitution were referred to as the Anti-Federalists, led by people like Thomas Jefferson, who drew their support primarily from rural areas with subsistent agriculturally based economies, so out in the countryside and big plantations. But their leaders came from all regions and classes. Many of the Anti-Federalist leaders were moved by ideological reservations against strong central government. They were concerned that the Constitution lacked a Bill of Rights, and it would at first, and then later the Bill of Rights is included, to protect individuals from an aggressive government. Also, many Anti-Federalist leaders feared the new government would be controlled by the wealthy, and thus remove the control of the government from the people. So that's the general belief system of the Anti-Federalists. The supporters of the new Constitution called themselves Federalists. In order to counter the Anti-Federalist argument, some of them, like James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton, published a series of newspaper articles called the Federalist Papers, and they were done anonymously when they were first published. They pointed out that the power within the national government was divided among a president, a bicameral legislature, and a judiciary. It was argued that each branch would check and balance the others and thus preserve liberty. Absence of tyranny, right? So these competing branches would keep each other in check, and not one would be able to dominate. So no individual and or group of individuals, like a political party, would be able to dominate the political process. Madison, using the concerns of anti-federalists, basically turning the anti-federalist concerns on its head, suggested that the great size and social diversity of the United States would safeguard Republican government rather than destroy it. He argued that the great number of interest groups would diffuse power and prevent tyranny. The Federalists also argued that the new government would provide economic, social, and political stability. Sometimes that the government under articles is something that the articles could not provide. Besides merchants and creditors, the Federalists also included military officers, diplomats, and officials who had served in the Continental Congress during the war. These men acquired a national rather than state or local outlook. With the ratification of the new Constitution, the political debate that took place on the national level were more than ever directly related to, one, sectional, like north-south and west, social, and economic interest rather than individual states. It was under the new political atmosphere that George Washington would come into control, and we'll visit him in the next link. So that's just basically the overarching initial differences between the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. So again, yeah, we'll take a look at George Washington in the next link. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys later.